Hey guys, Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor. Just doing a quick one to congratulate SHAUN CLARIDA on his open win at the Legion Fest show in Reno, Nevada yesterday. He's been calling himself the Giant Killer for a while, but kind of a title because he wasn't really killing any giants. He was in the 212 division. But yesterday, top three were SHAUN CLARIDA, second place Regan Grimes. Regan's got to be close to 6 foot. Got to be about 250 pounds. Sergio Oliva, also close, about 6 foot. Probably about 275, 280. So for SHAUN to do that, the 212 champ from the 2019 Olympia, to jump into this open show with a pretty decent lineup and win. We haven't seen a shorter, lighter guy like this, and he claims to be 5'2". I keep saying I think he's shorter. I think he's about 5 foot or 5'1", 182 pounds. To beat guys that were literally 100 pounds heavier than him. Great job, SHAUN. I'm not going to stay on too long today because at 9:15, which is coming up less than 20 minutes, I have Nick Walker on here. We talked late last week, talking about Nick's first season as a pro, where he did incredibly well. Nick Walker, I know Nick Walker fans out there love to hear from Nick. So coming up in less than 20 minutes, right here on this channel is my interview that I did with Nick Walker late last week. Great interview, great guy, bright future ahead of him. But yeah, SHAUN CLARIDA, congratulations, dude. That is amazing. I'll go to a couple of your questions, and then I'm going to dip out of here. He is a giant killer. Says time is muscle. Absolutely. Now he can really say he's the giant killer. He's beat much taller guys. If you see the comparisons, they were so much taller, so much wider. Didn't matter. The best physique won. Just like Momo Benaziza back in the day. You know, Dorian Yates' first pro show was the 1990 Night of Champions in New York. He took second place to 5'2" Momo Benaziza, who was another giant killer. Lee Priest back in the day, beat many taller, heavier bodybuilders again and again. So, you know, size matters in bodybuilding, but it's all relative. If you're saying, is he a big guy? Yeah, because if SHAUN CLARIDA was 6 foot, I bet he would weigh about 280 pounds, easy. That's how much muscle he has on his frame. He would be enormous, maybe even more like 300. My hero, giant killer, good for SHAUN. What happened to Cedric? Cedric didn't finish the show. I don't know if it was an injury situation or if he was just so upset he didn't get the first call out. I don't even know what he looked like, honestly. I haven't seen the pictures yet. If he didn't make first call out, that means he was out of shape, because Cedric in shape is a guaranteed first call out, especially at a smaller show like this. Cedric would have been right in the mix, but he must not have been looking very good. That's my guess. Regan was robbed. Size difference was too much. I'm going to talk to Milos today, his coach for the past 2 weeks. And man, I'm so impressed with the improvements Regan Grimes made in just 2 weeks' time. He looks so much bigger, so much fuller than he did at the Olympia, where I thought he looked small and flat compared to most of the other guys on that stage. He took second to last place. I think this version of Regan that we saw yesterday would have probably been top 10 at the Olympia. I believe that. Let's see, he had incredible back. Yeah, SHAUN CLARIDA's back is crazy. Armin Nair, Ron, why can't SHAUN compete now in 212 and open? If he wants to do it, why not? I don't understand the Olympia. So the Olympia, you can't cross over divisions in the same show at the Olympia or at most pro shows. At this Legion, they were letting people do it with Masters and Open. And a lot of times with the shows, like Tim Gardner shows, a lot of those have Masters and Open. You can do both. But within the open divisions, you can't do more than one. You have to pick and choose. So SHAUN is now qualified for both the 212 Mr. Olympia next year and the Open Mr. Olympia. As it stands, they typically don't allow anyone to do both, you know, but things can change. Maybe they will let him, you know, who knows? We're still a year away from the next Olympia. Maybe, I think it'd be exciting as hell to let him do both, you know, see how he fares. Because like I said, back before they instituted that, back in the days of the early days of the lightweight division, which was 202 before it became 212, David Henry, who was also called the Giant Killer, he used to do both. He would compete in the 212 Olympia and or 202, which was called the Showdown. It wasn't even called the Olympia back then. He would do both in the same weekend. He would usually win the lighter weight and place top 10 the Olympia. Where does Sergio go from here to the next show? Sergio looked really good. Sergio's made improvements. He just needs to keep competing. He takes these long breaks between shows and gets bigger, but I think he's about as big as he needs to get now. He just needs to keep competing, refining that physique, keep working on that back. I mean, it's a good back, but compared to like SHAUN and Regan, it's not quite at that level. Also needs to keep his waist in check. Dick Walker's on Raw Online next. Yes, Jen is in. I did that first, but I'll say it again. 9:15, which is now 14 minutes away. Nick Walker. Nick Walker is going to be on. We recorded that late last week, so you can't ask any questions live, unfortunately. I'm sorry. But we talked all about his rookie year. We talked about the Olympia, the whole thing between him and Hunter beating him. We talked about everything. It's a really good interview, so check that out. It's coming right up. Judge is definitely favoring Matt Jansen athletes. I don't know about that. Why are Regan Grimes still have immaturity in muscles? He's still a young guy. What's he, 28? He's getting more and more muscle maturity, but these things take time. What does Regan need, your opinion, work on the next year? Regan just needs to get bigger. Regan, at a show like this, he looks good. He looks great, I should say. On the Olympia stage, you have these guys that are so thickly muscled. You have, Rami is obviously enormous. Hadi's so thick. Nick Walker. You have a lot of big, thick guys. And when Regan stands with that level, he doesn't look very big. He looks much smaller than them. But I believe Milos, just to seeing what he did in size and fullness in 2 weeks' time, he looked very different. I believe if Milos and Regan work together for the next even 6 months, I'm sure Regan will make crazy improvements. He just needs more size. Everything's there. Beautiful shape, symmetry, no weak body parts. Regan just needs to get bigger. Armin, do you think if SHAUN had competed in the Open, could have won it since size doesn't matter as much anymore? He was like 80 pounds lighter than Regan. He did compete in the Open. Are you talking about the Open Olympia? He wouldn't have won the Open Olympia, no. But he would have been top 10, I'm sure. Evan, he could do both prejudging for 212s at the Expo on Friday morning. Jake Wood needs to get... It's not an issue of like time. Obviously, there's time he could compete in both. They're not held at the same time. It's just it's not up to Jake Wood, the owner of the Olympia, either. It's up to Jim Mannion, president of the IPB Pro League. It's up to Jim whether he could allow SHAUN to do both Olympias, 212 and Open. I'd love it. I think that'd be great. How exciting would that be to see him both on the same, I think like even Lunsford. I'd love to see Lunsford on the Open the same weekend. How cool would that be? John Hopper, how would Joe Biden done at the Legions? Joe Biden's physique is pretty weak. They had a lot of masters. It was the biggest Masters show. I think they claimed it was the biggest Masters show in the world. They had a lot of Masters athletes in different categories. They even had figure with different age groups. It was like over 65 figures. Can you imagine women over 65 on stage and figure? Well, they had it. They did it. Joe Biden letting SHAUN win against giant Open guys because conditioning. Why did they do Hadi dirty at the Olympia? Good question, man. And these are questions for the judges. These are questions for the judges to address. What happened to Cedric? We don't know. I don't know. Maybe he'll address it on his Instagram today. I hope he does because he didn't make it to the finals. I'm assuming he just didn't go because he didn't get called out and he was obviously not going to do very well. Stephen Curran. Bozy, because Hadi was not good enough, says somebody. Oh boy. Stephen Curran, I told everyone SHAUN was going to win. I said that last week too, guy. Unless Sergio came in as all-time best conditioning with added size, people mistaking stature with size. SHAUN is as densely muscled as they come. Yeah. He's small in the sense that he's short and he's not as wide. 100% agree with that. But like I said, if you blew him up to 5'10", 6 foot, he'd be just as thickly muscled as any of these guys. He would take up as much space. He still wouldn't have the clavicle width maybe, but like Phil Heath didn't have the widest clavicles either, but he had so much muscle packed onto them, onto his shoulders and upper back. You really, after a certain point, you really didn't even notice. Do you think, BYSYC, do you think Lionel Baker is over? Does he still have a chance? I don't say anybody's over. He still has a great physique. He still has a chance. I don't know if Lionel, I don't know what his problems are. I don't know. I don't know why Lionel. He doesn't make it over. He relies on other people to do things for him. I don't know. I don't know the deal with Lionel. It's a shame because if I was a Lionel Baker fan, and I feel for the Lionel Baker fans because they don't get to see much of this guy. He prepares for these shows. He doesn't end up going to the show. He lets down a lot of his fans. And I'm not saying it's his fault, but you know, when it's issues with traveling or sponsorship, you know, you got to handle these things. You're a professional athlete, or find a manager or someone to get all this straight for you. I don't know. Midget. Oh, you can't use midget. That's a bad word, guys. You cannot say midget. That's like the N word now. You can't. You got to say little people. He's not a midget. But this guy, XP Gamer, says midget bodybuilders like Lee Priest and Sean Ray, commending judge's decision. Ha ha ha. Stephen Coran, Sean scaled to 5'10", would be top 5 bodybuilders of all time, maybe best of all time. Armin Nagari, Ron, do you think there should be a weight limit in open? No, of course not. That's why we have classic weight limits. Yeah, no, there's no need for a weight. I mean, why would you limit the weight in open? If a guy's like 6'5", what are you going to say? He can only be 200 pounds or something? No, he can't have a weight. That's why it's called open. It's basically that you could also call it unlimited. It could be any size. You could be 200 pounds, it could be 500 pounds theoretically, and you'd still be in that division. Congrats to Sean. One size does not fit all. Credit to judge for not going with them. Yeah. Was Patrick Moore there? He was. Did not place very well. I saw the scores. I didn't write down all the scores. The top 5 was Sean, Regan Grimes, Sergio Oliva Jr., Tony O'Burton, who was a 212 also. And who was 5th place? Martin Fitzwater. Yeah, I just interviewed him last week too. He just jumped into the show. Patrick Moore is small. He's not small, but he needs to fill out. He needs a lot more size. He's got a long frame, long arms, long legs. It's a lot of frame, and he needs to be a lot thicker. I don't know how much weight he needs to be on, but he's not big enough for that frame to compete with these guys. He gets outsized. He's got a great physique, great genetics. He just needs to be bigger. Thoughts on Cedric bailing on Night Show? I used to think he would win the Olympia one day. He has his reasons. You know, Cedric's a grown man. I don't know. I don't know why he chose not to go to the finals. I bet he'll explain it today in some Instagram post or video, something like that. Midget is also not accurate as well as rude. Midget dwarf is 4'10" or below. He's 5'1". Yeah, he's not a midget, guys. I've been called a midget because I'm a little under 5'8". You know, now like anything under 6 foot is considered a midget now. It's considered really short. That's like saying if you have any arm under 21 inches is a small arm. You know, shut up. Regan doing Romania in a few weeks, or you think he should take a break? I bet he does. He's won it before. I bet he can win it again. I don't know. I'm going to find out today. I'm going to interview Milos, his coach. I'm going to try to get Regan too, of course, but we'll see what happens. Jeez, I got to get off this quick or else we're going to miss, they said about Cedric every year, same thing happened. All right, guys, I have to free up this channel because we have Nick Walker interview coming up in about 6-7 minutes here. So appreciate you guys watching. Congratulations once again to Sean CLARIDA. He can now say he is the real giant killer. He's beaten some giants. He looked fantastic. He's qualified next year for the Mr. Olympia. If he wants to do that, he can do that. He's also qualified for the 212. And maybe something will happen over the next year. Maybe Jim Mannion will decide he can do both. We'll see. Anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. Appreciate it. Subscribe to the channel, comment, do all that good stuff. And I'll see you next time.